We're ready, Olivia.
Okay, here we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Hawaii State Massage Board meeting.
We're going to play a short video on phone and internet access.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting.
When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras.
Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting.
At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Good morning, everyone. To view the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of the agenda. You will be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym or other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You will also be asked for an email address, and you may fill in the field with any entry in an email format. Your microphone will be automatically muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen to indicate that you wish to testify about that agenda item. The chairperson will then individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. And when recognized by the chairperson, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking. Upon request, your Zoom video or similar on-camera option will be enabled to allow you to be visible to the board members and other meeting participants while presenting oral testimony. Please turn off your camera after you conclude your testimony. It is the individual testifier's responsibility to ensure they have the video and internet capabilities to successfully stream or remotely testify. The board maintains the authority to remove and block individuals who willfully disrupt or compromise the conduct of the meeting. If you cannot get internet access, you may get audio-only access by calling the phone number listed at the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you will be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you will be asked to either enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. You will not have a panelist number, so please wait until you are admitted into the meeting. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering the asterisk and the number 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering the asterisk and the number 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing the asterisk and the number 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. And once you are finished speaking, please enter the asterisk and the number 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access when testifying, you'll be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If the connection to the meeting is lost for more than 30 minutes, the meeting will be continued on a specified date and time, and this information will be provided on the board's website. It is now, I don't have my watch on, 9:08 a.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And when you indicate you are present, please let me know if your virtual attendance is alone or among other people. So we have Shannon Skoog.
I'm here and I am alone.
Thank you, Shannon. I see Darcy Frankel.
Aloha, I'm here and alone.
And I actually see Sean St. Louis.
I'm also here and having some internet challenges, though. I apologize.
Okay, and I am also alone in attendance. Okay.
Also present and alone, Olivia.
Oh, sorry.
Hi,
Oh,
Jake.
the one person.
Already
I'm
giving
sorry,
you.
Jace. I'm looking at it going, okay. Thank you, Jace. Moving on to item 2A. And I understand this is one of our board members' last meeting, Jace Arakaki. Sorry to see you leave, Jace, but oops. Yay. So, Jace, we extend our sincere appreciation for your dedicated and valuable insight, as well as meaningful contributions to our effort as a board. I appreciate that your expertise and support have been instrumental to our success, and I wish you well on the next chapter.
And
Thank
Jace,
you.
on behalf of the department and the division, we also mahalo you for all of your work serving as a public member on the board. So the certificate of appreciation that was flashed on the screen, that'll be mailed to you. So you have that as a hard copy, and it's signed by our department director, as well as our licensing administrator. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. It's been a privilege. I think massage therapy is in good hands with the remaining board members.
Yay.
Thank you,
Hey.
Jace. I hear what Olivia said. Thank you so much for your time and your efforts and consideration. We really have appreciated you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 3A, approval of our minutes of the March 4 board meeting. Are there any revisions, additions, corrections?
I just have a slight revision, so I'll note this in a revised copy, but there were some additional virtual guests that I forgot to list on the attendance. So they were Thomas Smith, Paul, Daniel Martin, Perel, Nathaniel B, and John Thomas. So I'll amend the minutes accordingly for when they're posted on the board's website. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
I do have some amendments. If we would look at page 8, second paragraph, last statement. I will read the correction. She stated that most of her amendments propose an increase to the required apprenticeship training from should be 570 hours to 625 hours.
Sorry, Olivia, one more time, which page?
Page 8,
Uh-huh.
paragraph 2, last statement.
Okay, and what were the hours again?
It should be 570
Uh-huh.
to 625 instead of 575 hours.
Okay, got it, thank you.
And also further down the page, it would be included into the paragraph that starts, the proposed changes included, but we're not limited to.
Uh-huh.
So one item I needed to add, because I did point this out, 260 hours of hands-on supervised clinical hours.
Mhm.
Because if you add 260, 165, and 200, that will make up the 625.
Got it.
Because I know we talked about why the hours were changing.
Mhm.
So those were the hours that I had presented or proposed based on the research that I did. So we
Okay.
just need to add that statement, 260 hours of hands-on supervised clinical hours.
Okay, I can add that.
Okay, anybody else have any revisions on the board meeting minutes?
It's in the executive session, but my name is spelled wrong.
Oh,
we
sorry
can-
about that, Shannon. I'll make that correction.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll-
SHANON.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other changes to that we can do in executive session? Otherwise, should I wait to approve both minutes or?
I don't see any other comments, so if you wanted to approve them as amended, we can do that.
Okay, so I move to approve the minutes of the March 4th board meeting as amended. Can I get a second?
I second that, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. All in favor, Sean,
Yes.
Shannon,
I did watch the board meeting twice, so I'm going to say yes.
thank you. Jace
Yeah.
and Olivia is a yes. Do we have anyone wanting to provide testimony on this agenda item?
Thank you, Chair. There are no raised hands.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And moving on, we have no chapter 91. So we have oh wait, let me take a look. I move to approve the ratification list. Can I get a second, please?
I second that, Sean.
Okay, thank you, Sean. All in favor, Sean,
Yes.
Shannon.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot Darcy on the last one. My bad. Sorry, Darcy
Yes.
and Jace.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So on the approval of the minutes,
Yeah, we can
Darcy,
just
are you-
re-vote, Olivia. Thank
Huh?
you. Yeah,
Say
we
that
can just do the vote again for the approval of the minutes
Okay, so approval of the March 4th meeting minutes.
as amended.
Sorry,
Oh yeah, minutes as amended.
yeah, with the minutes as amended. Can I get a show of hands? I know that I can keep the motion and the second, right?
Yeah, so we'll do a motion by the chair, seconded by Sean,
Yep.
and then all in favor raising their hand. So I saw all hands raised for aye.
Okay, great. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Okie dokie. Moving on to massage therapist applications. I move to go into executive session.
Second that, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. And all in favor? Sean,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Jace,
Yes.
and Darcy?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're gonna move into executive session as of 9:16 AM in accordance with HRS 92-5A1 to consider and evaluate personal information relating to individuals applying for professional licenses cited in section 26-9 or both, and pursuant to HRS 92-5A4 to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunity, and liabilities. And the board will vote in open session for those joining us at our meeting. Thank you. Moving into executive session.
1 second. Looks like we increased our gallery, so moving on to applications, item 4B. Are there any testimonies?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone wishing to provide oral testimony.
Okay, thank you so much. So for the massage therapist applications, first applicant Nestor Ruiz. I move to defer his application pending documentation to substantiate his practical hours.
I second that, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. All in favor, Sean,
Yes, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
and Shannon.
Yes.
And I am also a yes. Okay. To Liquin, Yuan,
Yes.
I move to approve her application with two contingencies. She would need to complete a 1 CE course on ethics and also have the PSI agreement translated into her language and signed with the assistance of our EO. Oops. Can I get a second?
I second that, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. All in favor? Sean,
Yes.
Jace,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
and my vote is a yes. Okay, moving on to item 4C, massage school curriculum. Are there any testimony out there?
Chair, there's no one wishing to provide testimony.
Thank you so much. Moving to Central Oahu Massage Institute. I move to defer their application and request clarifying documentation on their application. Can I get a second?
Sean seconds that.
Was that you, Sean?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, Sean,
Yes.
Jace,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
and Shannon.
Yes.
My vote is also a yes. On Hawaii Healing Arts College, I move to approve their application and they just need to correct some documentation. Can I get a second?
I second that, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. All in favor, Sean,
Yes.
Jace,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
and my vote is a yes. On the application for Maluhia School of Massage Therapy, I move to approve their application. Can I get a second?
I second that, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. All in favor, Sean,
Yes.
Jace,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
and Olivia is a yes. Thank you so much. Moving on to item number 5, Executive Officer's Report. Do we have any testimony out there?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone wishing to provide testimony.
Thank you. And Sheena?
Okay, so I'm gonna share exam stats for February, March, and April is also included in the online packet. So for February 2025 administration, there were 66 photo exams, 27 successful attempts, 39 unsuccessful. For the March examination, 22 total exams, 7 successful, 15 unsuccessful. And then the latest stats were from April 2025, 44 total exams administered, 21 successful, 23 unsuccessful.
Okay, thank you so much.
And then, are there any questions on the exam stats? Okay.
No.
Next is the 5B 2025 legislative session bill discussion and updates. So just letting you know that the legislative session did end on May 2nd, 2025, so it's officially concluded. And since your last meeting on March 3rd, 2025, only one bill that the board provided a position on, so that was SB 1373. It advanced through the entire process. So it successfully passed through both chambers in the House and the Senate, and it's now enrolled with the governor. So what that means is unless the governor vetoes the bill by July 9th, 2025, it will become law effective July 1st, 2025. And the current draft that's enrolled to the governor, it can be found on the bill's webpage. I believe I gave you a copy of the final draft as it was enrolled to the governor. Online, I didn't print it in your physical packet because it's many, many pages long as it covers multiple boards. But
Thank you.
that was included. So thank you to our legislative liaisons, Olivia and Sean, for their help with that during this session. And that is all that I have to report in terms of legislative updates. Are there any questions for that?
I had been following that bill, though. It showed that on April 8th, there was a disagreement filed of some sort, but
Okay.
yeah, but if it was approved, then
Mhm.
to not
Yeah.
spend more time on that.
Mhm. Yeah, so the bill, it originates in the House or the Senate. It has to go through the assigned committees, in one chamber. If it's okay, it crosses over to the next chamber. That's where we kind of had it, at the March meeting. And if it passes through the matching chamber in the opposite side of the legislature, it goes back. If there's differences in the drafts, they talk about it, in conference. And a
Mhm.
conference draft will emerge if they're able to reach a kind of like a compromise between all the different versions of the bill that's been proposed throughout its life in the legislature. So if a bill gets a conference draft or a CD, that is what is enrolled to the governor. And it needs that final kind of compromise draft in order to move forward. And so, yeah, again, if it doesn't get vetoed, it'll become law based on the effective date of the bill, which for this one, it's effective July 1st of this year. And sorry, I didn't read the full bill title. It's relating to administrative licensure actions against sex offenders.
Mhm.
So the last thing, 5C, boredom massage therapy, the FAQs. I'm just reporting to you that I updated the FAQs that were on the website. Thank you, Olivia, kind of flagged that they needed some updating. So I added some general application and licensure FAQs in there. It can be a running FAQ, so I know it's quite long.
Yes.
So if you have any suggestions, FAQs that you kind of hear in the industry, or just in chatter, that would be helpful for the public, licensees or applicants to know, please email me and I'd be happy to add that. And if there's any corrections, I did have a few like typos in there, so I'll correct those after this meeting, but yeah, please let me know. I'm welcoming any feedback or requests for the FAQs, but this current draft that was included in your packet was uploaded online so that people have access to an updated version.
Thank you, Sheena. I do get inquiries periodically from our association members, and that's when I'll look into it, research, and then I contact you. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And everyone else is welcome to do that as well. I appreciate your help with helping keep the public and our licensure population informed.
Great. Okay, moving on to new business. Is there anyone providing testimony out there?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have any, sorry, we do not have anyone wishing to provide testimony.
Great, thank you so much. So item A, discussion of acceptance of online coursework for the academic course of study requirements for massage therapist licensure.
So this one, Shannon reached out to me and asked if this could be added onto the agenda. I'll just provide a brief background on your laws and rules regarding this, and then Shannon, if you wanted to share anything, and then the board can discuss if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, so in your laws and rules pursuant to HRS 452-13A3, and all these citations I included in the highlighted handout in your packet, so you can just reference it easily. So 452-13A3, HAR 16-84-23, and HAR 16-84-48. All applicants for the massage therapist license and approval for the exam must verify completion of the minimum of 50 hours of APK, 100 hours of theory and demonstration of massage, and 420 hours of supervised practical massage training in order to qualify for the exam and for licensure. Straightforward. We all are aware of that. And completion of the 50 APK and the 100 theory hours are prerequisite to the massage apprentice permitting. So the requirements for those first two categories, the 50 APK and the 100 theory, in your laws and rules and also in our discussion, we also refer to it as the academic course of study, right? As opposed to the hands-on, the clinical, supervised practical part. So again, Shannon reached out to me to request that the board consider accepting online coursework for that academic course of study. So for the 50 APK and the 100 theory. And I just wanted to clarify that nothing in your current laws and rules prohibit that, so long as the online coursework complies with the existing laws and rules. And so in terms of the academic course of study for apprentices, the requirements in 16-84-20I is that they're taught by, and I'm quoting, a school which is licensed by the State Department of Education, the University of Hawaii, or other institutions approved by the board, or through board-approved workshops. So that's for apprentices and their academic course of study. And then for massage students, for approval for MAT licensure and the exam, their coursework must have been completed in a massage school approved by the Department of Education, the American Massage Therapy Association, AMTA, or the Rolf Institute. And so basically what I want to say is that in terms of online coursework, you can already accept it. Just the options are limited based on your current laws and rules. So for the permit, it can be an online massage school that's licensed by the State Department of Education, an online massage school licensed by UH, or other online institutions approved by the board. And this could include the Rolf Institute and AMTA. And then for massage therapist applicants, it could be an online massage school approved by the Department of Education, an online massage school approved by AMTA, an online massage school approved by the Rolf Institute. So I don't know, Shannon, if the intent is maybe to include like online CEs, and that is where that would require a rules change if you guys in the future want to contemplate allowing for online CEs to meet the APK and theory requirement, because right now all coursework has to be in these approved schools. That's a lot of words. But just want to give you like the parameters for your discussion of accepting online coursework. So right now you can, if it's by an online school that meets those criteria. If you want to deviate and accept it from like an online continuing education provider, that would require a rule change.
Okay.
So-
Do currently any of our schools or apprenticeships offer online schooling? Because those that I communicate with believe that that is not acceptable in the state of Hawaii.
So I'm not sure. In my very short time with the board so far, I have not seen any online school coursework submitted, but that doesn't mean necessarily that that's not out there. I just have not seen it myself.
Olivia,
Correct.
could you provide clarity on that?
Okay, so right now, because our rules are antiquated and we're working on updating it, at our last meeting, I did address that because AMTA no longer approves curriculum, nor does Rolf Institute. So it's kind of moot at this point. But we do have the catch-all of the school licensed by the State Department of Education as it reads currently. In other discussions that I've had with other chapters, they are moving, and since COVID, it necessitated this, moving towards an online and or synchronous study for the academic, meaning the anatomy portion, but the theory and demonstration is still held in a live audience, or that's the consensus. Because how can you learn touch if you're not touching someone? And I agree.
There's
So
online courses that separate theory from the demonstration and allowing a hybrid model in some states. But I would like to share something that I prepared
Sure.
for you all. And thank you for allowing me a few moments to speak on something that I do believe is vital to the future of our profession here in Hawaii. And I like us to take, a step back from the ideal approaches when it comes to the best way to educate, because that's just sometimes not the world we live in right now, where students have ample time and schools have ample resources to make that happen. And instead, I want us to discuss and look at this from the perspective of the current health of our industry and the direction that it's going in, and focusing on options that support all aspects of our board's mission: the students, the exam success, schools, businesses, and our consumers. So I'd like to formally propose that we consider having specific language approving online education for anatomy and theory separately from the demonstration. With licensed massage therapy programs, there's many across the nation that accept these two theory-based subjects, and we have the tools and platforms and data to deliver these effectively online, and potentially more effectively than where some of our current apprenticeships and schools are able to meet, because of it's tough to teach anatomy. It's tough to teach these things for all different learning styles, because there's multiple ways to teach this. States like Florida, Texas, and New York are already allowing hybrid programs and have specific language in their statutes on it. And they have seen improvements in exam pass rates and student access, school enrollments. And frankly, we're really behind in this area. Okay. In Hawaii, our exam pass rate is only sometimes 30 to 50% passing on what we've been tracking since we transitioned to PSI, one of the lowest in the nation. And the two most commonly failed sections are anatomy and theory. And according to the National Certification Board of Therapeutic Massage and Bodywork, states that allow these online courses saw 15% improvement in pass rates. And this kind of data, I don't think we should ignore when this is an area we want to see better improvement in. But it's more about just the numbers. We're watching qualified, passionate people give up on this career because they can't balance full-time jobs, childcare, and in-person schooling. Online access could be the difference between a student dropping out or going on to serve their community as a licensed therapist. We're also seeing, and this number really worries me, we're seeing a 20% decline in licensed massage therapists over the past 5 years. This means fewer professionals are getting into our industry. This means longer wait times for our clients and our consumers that need massage. And it also means added strain to those that are already practicing. Approving online learning is another way that we can start addressing this shortage head on, making it more accessible and available. And let's not forget about our schools. Many of them are struggling with low enrollment rate, rising costs. I've seen schools shut down. I've seen apprenticeships shut down. They can't keep afloat. And online courses could provide them relief without sacrificing standards, and especially with the proposed increase of $625. That comes at a cost, and that cost has to be justified by school owners and ultimately the students for tuition. It isn't about lowering the quality. It's about increasing accessibility, modernizing our approach here in Hawaii that we see across the nation, and improving outcomes. I'm not suggesting we go fully online. I agree, absolutely. There's got to be that demonstration to theory connection. But what I do suggest is that we do adopt a hybrid model, specifically in our language for online anatomy and theory, and then having a separate credentials for what in-person hands-on skills looks like. I believe we owe this to our students, our schools, and the massage community here in Hawaii. And if we consider this now, we will see a growth. I truly believe it, and more resources and more people actually having the ability to become massage therapists. If we don't, I do see that 20% decline in the past 5 years is going to be another 20% in the next 5 years. If we fail to act, we'll continue to see declines. We risk more schools shutting down and countless aspiring therapists abandoning their dreams of even entering the profession. So we must act now and create more flexible solutions, more options, encouraging this modernization and secure the future of massage therapy in the state of Hawaii. So it's thriving again. So I welcome questions. I would love to work with any of you to explore implementation guidelines that protect our educational integrity while expanding access. Thank you.
So I think with what I presented at the last meeting, we can take a look at the academic course of study. So I had proposed 100 hours of anatomy instead of the current 50, and 165 hours of theory.
Mhm.
So we can take a look. I don't mind looking at a hybrid, and I have a note to myself from that meeting to add verbiage for online or asynchronous for APK. But I still would hold a live class for theory and demonstration. Any other thoughts or comments on that?
So I think that's good. Thank you, Shannon, for just like researching all of that and preparing those statistics, and for the board to just, start considering this. And I think based off of what Olivia said, and then what I mentioned in your laws and rules. So if you do want to move in this direction, again, massage schools that are approved by those institutions currently listed in your laws and rules, technically they are acceptable by the board based on your rules. If there's like standalone continuing education or workshops, things like that, that would require a rules change. And just thinking about rules changes, it would probably be good to even just clarify what's already allowed in a
Mhm.
rules change. So those sections would be 16-8423 and 16-8448, which I believe are in the subchapters both assigned to Olivia
Yep.
for ongoing rules revisions. So if I might suggest that any initial things you can forward to Olivia, and I can also distribute to the other board members so they know what's going on. But we can work within, what's already being done to start putting language around that to make sure that you can make it happen if that's the direction the board wants to move in. So that would be my suggestion, that it goes in the rules revisions, because right now what's allowed is allowed, and then what's not allowed, you would have to change the rules to allow it.
I have a question. If you consider hybrid version, the online course, are you guys gonna allow already recorded version, or you guys are requiring simultaneously class setting? you know, that's quality is totally different, so maybe.
Many of the boards that I looked at across the nation, there is a approval process of what type of program that school or, program is going to adopt. And so the boards do get the opportunity to review whatever online courses and modules that they're going to be utilizing. There are many out there specifically geared towards massage therapy for kinesiology and theory. They're already made. Module form, quizzes, test, everything embedded, everything kind of trackable, easy for schools to be able to put that on their transcripts, and easy for students to go back to and study. And those students that work 40 hours a week, 2 jobs to survive here in Hawaii, single mom, type situations where they cannot go to school, they can do this work online and then slowly, do the 425 hours or whatever we're increasing it to in the future. I think it makes it more possible for people to have something to build for themselves, and they're in a dead end situation. They can't do it. And this could be a way for those type of individuals to build a career in massage therapy, and they deserve that chance.
Mhm. So I believe we should include in the rules to have both live and pre-recorded versions of this, to use at the, the school's discretion, I guess, or, however we say it. I'm all for it. I'm totally aligned with you on this, Shannon. I think it's such a great improvement and, updating to allow for the technology that we have we already have in place. What do you think, Olivia, Jace, Sean?
I've leaned towards that since we discussed it from the last meeting. I just haven't had a chance to look at the verbiage for it in the
Mhm.
past month because I was preparing for a huge business meeting. So I'm all for it. It's just a matter of getting the lingo to insert into section 23 and section 48.
For apprenticeships and schools, and us
Correct.
deciding what that hybrid looks like, and and also the approval process of what are we going to accept. And I think that can be presented to us on the board like many other states. They keep the language very broad. Just online coursework for schools have to be approved and presented to the board, and then they can assure the quality assurance in that.
So are the schools, hold on, are the schools or the testing entity doing that?
Can you rephrase that for me, Olivia?
So checking the integrity of the courses, who's doing that? Is it the schools or the?
Oh, I understand. The schools or the programs are presenting that information to the board if it's acceptable, meets requirements for that state's education.
Okay. I know that we did that temporarily during COVID, so I don't have a problem putting it into our rules. I missed that part when I was doing this review, or the proposal. Like I said, I was in Europe at the time, so I did my best with what I had. So
Good.
I can,
Okay.
is it okay for Sheena, is it okay for me to go to Shannon and ask her which boards? Well, you know what, you can let me know what states you looked at, I can pull it up.
Sure thing. Yeah,
Florida?
I went all over the place, but those that
Yeah.
I had a little bit more success kind of digging things up quickly was Texas, Florida, and New York.
Okay,
Many
Texas
states do this.
Texas recently got licensure in the early 2010. They were not licensed prior to that. I can't remember the exact date, but Florida is the oldest state that provided licensure, and New York with Nebraska has the highest level of education hours requirements. So those were I also look at North Carolina because they've been really active and proactive. So I've also looked at North Carolina when I do my research. So I'll take a look at their verbiage and see if I can revise what I submitted for subchapter 6, and then subchapter 12
Okay.
to,
And
so
just so
my
I'm clear
question,
too,
go ahead.
right now, based off the way it's currently written, schools and apprenticeships could accept and adopt online modules and coursework for anatomy
Yes.
Yes,
and theory as well.
Yeah, so
Not
long as
theory.
they're approved by, the State Department of Education, like those things that are in your rules. So long as it can't just be any, online massage school, but if it meets those current requirements in your laws and rules, then yes, the online coursework.
Okay. So there
Um,
is,
are
unless
they-
they're going through those, because there's a lot more out there
Mhm.
Yeah.
that we could
Right.
grant some accessibility to.
I think right now, though, as it stands, we've approved the APK portion only, not the theory.
So it
That's
sounds
the
like I
theory
think
and
there needs to
demonstration.
be some more discussion on the details, and I'm just trying to be mindful of the time, and I know we're already over, our 2 hours, and we still have some items on the agenda. So I think
Okay.
this is a really good basis to get everybody's juices going. Start doing your own independent research, and you can send that to me, and I can forward it off to Olivia as she works on the revising, and then we'll look at how to add it onto the next agenda come July as well. But thank you,
So-
Shannon, for bringing that up.
Thank
So
you all.
Yeah, just a
Rob,
quick
Shannon.
recap. So the verbiage that I was looking at is online, synchronous and asynchronous classes for APK. So that's the verbiage I've been looking at.
Okay.
Okay,
Wonderful.
moving
Thank you,
on.
fellow board members.
Thank
Yay.
you, Shannon. That was very eloquently done and very impassioned and very impressive. Thank you so much.
Alrighty. Board consideration of joining the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards. So I know that there's more discussion on this, and if I remember correctly, we initially approved to join in for the free 1 year, and there was one board member who abstained vote, and I believe it was you, Darcy. So I want to make sure we address your concerns before we do any kind of voting on this.
Well, thanks, Olivia. And then I also wanted to just provide background. So as Olivia said, the Hawaii Board of Massage Therapy has been on a 1 year free trial membership with FSMTB. And that 1 year has come to a close. So we did receive an invoice to become a paying member of FSMTB. And so while the fiscal component of actually joining, I still need to work out to see if we have that in our budget with our division and our department. It also needs the green light from you as the board, whether or not to join. So that would require a board vote. And I did include some background. I know we're all familiar with FSMTB, but just as a brief overview, it's an autonomous national nonprofit comprised of state boards and agencies, and they basically help with the regulation of the practice of massage therapy across the US and US territories. And so there's a map. The majority of states are members. There's just a few states where registration is not required or there's no state regulation. And that's why I looked up why those blue states are non-members. It's because either registration is not required or there's just no state regulation of those states. But
Yeah, there's still
you
4
had-
that don't have any kind of regulation on licensure for this profession.
Yeah, so, and then also Maine, Connecticut, and the US Virgin Islands, they do have massage therapist licensure, but they're not FSMTB members, and I'm not sure why. But another major component of the organization is that they administer the NBLEX exam. So that's that national standard massage therapist exam. It's not currently accepted by the Hawaii board because we have our own board. But I was made aware by Olivia that they do have a jurisprudence exam that you can add on to the NBLEX exam. So in the future, if Hawaii would like to accept the national exam for licensure, we could still require a state-specific component because I know there are some very state-specific considerations with being licensed in Hawaii. But for today, the discussion is whether you want to vote to join FSMTB. as a member.
Quick question though, I thought we joined like in the fall or late summer. And you're saying that our 1 year ended?
It's coming to a close.
Oh,
They
okay.
gave us the invoice in advance. If you're late on your dues, or you're delinquent on your dues, then you become a non-member, so they've been.
Okay, how much was that for?
I'm not sure. I can go back and look. But yeah, that amount would need to be factored into our department budget. So even if you vote to join, I'm not sure if we have the funds as a department to join. Though the arguments, if you do want to join, that I would make to the department is that it does provide a wealth of resources for you as a state board in terms of regulation, continuing education options, and then in the future, should you move to accept the MBLEX exam, that would be almost a necessity. So those
Okay.
considerations.
My
I
Darcy?
believe it is a necessity with the way our exam is going. It's an absolute need for us to stop reinventing this wheel. To my knowledge, PSI, they're not subject matter experts, they're item writers. Whereas FSMTB, they are subject matter expert in the industry, writing the MBLEX and continuously evolving the exam, keeping safe against human trafficking, and anyone with ill intent to take the exam, they're overviewing that and protecting the integrity of the massage industry. So my vote is absolutely yes to be a part of the FSMTB and absolutely start the conversation to accept the MBLEX.
I say I maintain my vote of yes as well, but I do remember Darcy pretty adamant, so I want to hear what she has to say.
I didn't have a chance to review all of this, and I'm not gonna pretend that I did. But my question is, have we taken advantage of the membership up until now? And how would we do that as a board? And
Yeah, so Shannon can speak to that a
Shannon.
little bit because she
Yeah.
was appointed to be
Yeah,
your
a
representative.
representative.
FSMTB, so she's attended some of their meetings and had access to their resources. And on my end, as an EO, they do provide a lot of support to board staff. So I met
And our
with
general attorney
yes,
as
I
well.
met the executive director of FSMTB, and she provided me with a lot of support and access to resources on our board staff side that I can use to help guide you. Some of those are only for board staff and regulatory staff, like our attorney general and the investigators with the Regulated Industries Complaints Office. So that's why you haven't seen it as a board. It's highly confidential, but a lot of those resources are, as Shannon mentioned, around combating human and sex trafficking, specifically as it's tangential to the massage industry. So those are some of the resources. And again, a big chunk of it in the future, should you accept the MBLEX exam, would be also around exam administration, development, and all of those things.
Yeah, and I believe she sent out a detailed report, Darcy, to everybody. Did you not get that?
I don't think I received that. Shannon, did you send it or?
This
Yeah,
was
she
back when
did.
with Rize. I sent it to Rize
After
and she
October.
sent it to
Yeah.
all board members, and I verified all of you were on it.
Yep.
Okay.
If you were there at the
I don't
time,
know.
I think Sean was too.
Okay, I didn't review it, so I'd love to review that.
And I think I actually went over it personally at a board meeting
Yes, we did
that
in
you
our
attended,
November.
Darcy.
I
Yeah.
believe it
You
was
were
the November meeting because you went in October.
correct.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. So I'm very passionate about us continuing this relationship with the FSMTB, and I would love Darcy to take that time to look into all of the
Yes.
great resources and support that it does offer, so you feel more confident and educated on that topic.
Yeah. I've
Okay.
also been researching it, and I also find that there's exposure. So I really want to move forward with this.
Will
'Cause
you
at
say
the-
more? we say more about the exposure or, what you're seeing in your research?
Yeah, I think I
this
can let
point.
you know a little bit more details about that kind of offline.
Yeah.
But if you wouldn't mind just sharing a few of if you have any reservations, maybe we can address them here if there's specifics. Just for the whole board's reference, across most of our licensing boards, the boards are members of national organizations, and it really helps provide a lot of resources. It connects us with the other states, keeps us in touch on the legislation that's happening across the
That's a
different
big one.
policies going across nationally. And on board staff side, it keeps me connected to the EOs of the state boards and the other jurisdictions so that we can compare notes and be a support. So it is this big web of support and resources essentially. And the national organizations are designed to really help with the regulation. But it would be good if we can address any reservations because I think it's important to hear what those are.
Well, I'm happy to review this in my abundant free time, and I can go back and look at that other email, the synopsis or whatever it was that Shannon sent. And then I can, comment from an educated point of view.
Okay, I think at this point, since we have full board attendance, I think we can still take a vote, or is there a deadline, Sheena? What is our deadline? Do we have an
Well,
absolute deadline?
I can defer it if you want to the next board meeting. So since you do have quorum, you can vote. And Darcy, if you don't feel comfortable, you can defer, you can abstain from voting. If you would like to get everybody's input, I can defer it to July. It doesn't necessarily have, well, it does have a deadline. We become a non-member by the next board meeting. If you don't vote by then, but voting earlier just allows me to start the conversation about the funding with our department earlier. If not, that'll be delayed. But
I
that,
still would like to put a vote to the board members since we do
I
have a
agree.
full board, because we will miss that deadline, and I believe this is a great opportunity. I've had a chance to review a lot of this and had personal conversations with other government relations committees, I guess, from other states. And they find it very valuable. And they pointed out a few things to me, which I shared with Sheena. And I really think this is the direction I would like our board to go. So I am going to propose a vote to join the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards. Can I get a second?
This is Shannon. I'll second that enthusiastically.
Thank you, Shannon. All in favor, Shannon?
Yes.
Jace,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Darcy,
I can't vote right now, so I'm gonna say,
would you like to abstain?
I'm gonna vote no for right now.
Okay. Okay, so with a majority vote of 4-1, I believe this motion moves forward.
yes, it does. And I'll report to you at the next board meeting as to like conversations about the budget and things. So
Okay.
you can have more clarity on that. And Darcy, in the meantime, as you review the materials, if you have questions, you can send them to me and I can help answer them on my side. And if we don't have the answers, we can contact FSMTB as well.
And Sheena, I'll share my annual meeting report so that can be redispersed.
Yeah, I can do that too.
Oh, great.
Great.
Thanks, Shannon. Probably
Absolutely.
finding it like a needle in a haystack to find that old
Yeah.
email.
For sure.
I saved it in my board folder, so that would probably make it easier for you, Darcy, if you do that. Okay. Moving on. How much time do we have? Okay.
Like a half hour.
So item 7, ongoing business. Let me see.
So we still have 6. For the sake of time, we can defer it. This was an agenda item that I added. I just wanted to clarify, it doesn't need board vote or board decision making. But I just wanted to clarify that your laws and rules state that the PMT must be on premise at all times in order for an MAE to operate. So I just wanted to clarify that based on some discussions and things that I've been hearing from the public in between board meetings, but we can defer it to the next board meeting for the sake of time. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I know we discussed that a little bit. I think that was when Darcy presented her proposed revisions, but I did not see anything in writing.
I mean, I guess it's related because Darcy was talking about the section at our last meeting about the PMT subsection in your HAR. But this is something different that I've just noticed as people have emailed inquiries and things. So I wanted to make sure for the public that we're clear that the PMT must be physically on premise at all times unless they appoint a designee. But this is I'd have to go over the laws and rules, and I know we're getting really tight on time. And so since this
We
is
can
in-
defer this
defer
then.
it.
Okay, sounds
Mhm.
good. All right, ongoing business. So we did an initial review of subchapter 6.6, which I submitted. And I think we were gonna take a look at what Shannon had, which is actually kind of good timing for exam requirements.
Yeah, we went over 3 with Darcy last time and then subchapter 6 with you, Olivia. I know we always run really tight on time, so my suggestion, since all the subsections are assigned, is that we do one each meeting. And then I'll compile the revisions and things and present it to you at a later meeting so you can look at what was discussed. So with that being said, we're on subchapter 7, which is Shannon's one. And that is on examination requirements.
Let me pull up my current 1684. Okay.
Okay, so as I was reviewing this and looking at other states and their language, keeping it really broad, if changes are made to exams and things like that, was something that I saw. It wasn't very specific. They didn't put PSI, they didn't put MBLEX, they didn't put specifics in it. They kept it clear in terms of what conduct can look like and obviously what the exam requirements are. So I didn't change anything with A, but when we change the above sections, that might be something we could adjust in that as well. Also just what's on the exam was other things that I saw in kind of that same section. I didn't currently make any changes to that because I felt like it was pretty straightforward and in alignment with what we currently are doing and what we may be doing in the future too. So where the changes come in, I added a B and a C and a D in there to go over conduct. So B states all exam candidates must adhere to security procedures, ethical and respectful behavior during the examination for both on-site and remote testing. So this goes into line with PCI's requirements of that, the form that they sign, the no cell phones, no materials, things like that. Keeping that pretty general versus specific is what I saw kind of across other boards. C, engaging in dishonest contact, cheating, using unauthorized materials
Wait,
or devices.
hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Am I reading the wrong document? I'm looking at subchapter 7.
I'm reading my revisions that I included, which I think were.
Did we
It
get
should
a
be the
copy
one
of
in the package. Olivia, she's on 16-84-27
Yep,
E.
that's-
Now we moved on to E. So the
Yeah,
red
that's-
parts
on.
are the changes. Shannon.
Was there an updated? Because I printed this from the last meeting and I just didn't print any other.
No updates.
So
Okay.
you're looking at C, you said?
No, D as in dog,
D.
and then now she's talking about E as in elephant.
It's
Correct.
in the note, the package for today's meeting. It's
Yeah.
it's in there.
Okay, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said C, so I was going, okay, I see changes in B, D, and E.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Okay. So I'll start over with engaging dishonest conduct, cheating, using unauthorized materials or devices, such as Excel phones, notes, and any other prohibited items, will result in automatic test invalidation and potential further actions against the candidate. I kept that vague so that gets to go to the board for us to review versus this is, what happens. Some things I did see since we're here, I do want to share some what other states do when it comes to conduct. Florida states any breach of examination, security, or misconduct may result in disciplinary action, including the invalidation of exam results and possible suspension and forfeit of being a licensed therapist. So that's something they clearly put in there, but I think it's best that we keep it open so we can investigate. Any thoughts on that?
can you read that again, Shannon?
Yeah, from the state of Florida, this is one of the ways that how they approach it. Any breach of examination, security, or misconduct may result in disciplinary action, including the invalidation of exam results and possible suspension or revocation of the license.
Okay,
So they must have some kind of exam after, or maybe they're talking about exam misconduct from another state. I wonder why they revocation or
How would they
suspension.
have a
yeah,
license?
or a current, yeah, it's gotta be when they're coming in state to take the exam and that happened in a previous jurisdiction.
But Shannon, that's good if we can keep looking at other jurisdictions kind of exam misconduct language, and if you can send it to me, I can look and kind of try like hodgepodge, put something together, and then I'll also look at in the other Hawaii boards if they have anything on exam misconduct, so we can be aligned, and I can reach out to those EOs to see how that goes. So I can propose those for whenever we revisit subchapter 7 too.
Okay,
Lovely, lovely. Okay. Moving on. This was something I saw many states address, and that is American Disability Act. So I think that it is fitting, and I think we might have to do some research, especially with PSI and what that can really look like. And then, of course, if we adopt MBLEX in the future. So here's what I wrote. In accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, requests for exam accommodations must be made in advance and accompanied by appropriate documentation directly with the exam registrar. So keeping it broad with whoever the exam is, and then
Yeah.
we already had in there.
And I think that's good, Shannon, and I'll check because I'm sure PSI also has to comply with ADA. And it might just fall under our broader like division umbrella as to what the requirements are for accommodating individuals. I think I've seen language, and so I'll look at where that is. So we can mirror that in our rules, but there should already be like umbrella coverage for
Yeah.
what's required for accommodating individuals for testing purposes. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And then everything else I did keep. I'm gonna I have a recommendation on retake policy that I saw a lot in other states.
Is that something
So I'll
you
go.
wanna add to this, maybe an item F?
I think so. I think retake policy. I'll read two that I researched that I did like. One's from Texas, one's from Nevada. Okay. So here's how Texas reads. An applicant may retake the licensing exam multiple times. However, applicant must wait a minimum of 30 days before retaking the exam. The total number of attempts is limited to 3 within a 12-month period.
That's pretty standard. In my other licensure areas like engineers, architects, it's the same.
Yeah,
about 3 to 4 times within the year, within specific testing windows.
Yeah, yeah, and Nevada reflects the same, and many other states do. So Nevada's verbiage on this is very similar. A candidate may retake the licensing examination after a waiting period of not less than 30 days. An applicant may attempt the examination up to a maximum of 3 times in a 12-month period unless otherwise approved by the board, which I kind of appreciated that because it still gives us a little bit of opportunity for an applicant to, come to us to seek either understanding or present their case. So I did like Nevada's approach to that.
My question is
like that.
why, I think don't we have it at 5 rather than 3 now?
There's nothing written.
Oh, I thought it was. you
There's
could
nothing
5
written.
times within a year. I mean, obviously, that's
There's
kind of.
no,
Yeah,
I-
so right now, candidate can continuously test. I think they have to wait 24 hours with PSI to re-register, but right now they can take the test back to back to back. And so we don't want folks to be passing just because they've seen the question like 10 times. So that's one thing with expanding our exam bank. So thank you to Olivia and Sean for their work with PSI and expanding the bank, but yeah, retake policy would be good to kind of space out the attempts. Of course, they can always re-examine, but it would be good to space out the attempts.
Yeah.
Because you don't currently have any restrictions on that for your exam.
I like that,
And it
Shannon.
might really help, again, with PSI, if students are really prepared, like, did they put in that work and study? If they knew there was like, oh, I can only take this 3 times this year, so I'm going to come to this exam a bit more prepared than knowing I can take this as many times as I want. That may help, just with that kind of like, I got to make sure I do my part and study and know I have this down and I'm confident before I go and take the exam versus maybe just let me see how this goes and then keep trying. May help. With PSI, again, I'm partial to accepting NBLEX, but right now we got to do what we got to do.
Yep.
So
Sounds
I
good.
can, I can share that verbiage, Sheena, with you on Nevada, if we all agree.
Yeah, and we don't
I
have to agree or not, but Shannon, you could share that, and then I'll share it to everybody. And the next time we revisit subchapter 7, I'll work with you to kind of have the language written out so we can have like actual language for everybody to discuss. Do we like this? Do we not? Do we want to add this, take this out? But having language to start with will be really helpful. So if you can send it to me, and then I'll work with you, and we can send it out to everyone to review for the next time.
Sure.
Amazing. And then I did have one question on just relevance, if this needs to stay, talking about the applicants that taken the exam prior to June 4th, 1986 and failed one or more parts of that examination shall be given credit for part or parts of the past and be permitted to. So what is that
So that's
necessary?
old. So that's old, and they used to have a practical segment of the exam in the past. That's also
Okay.
been changed, but I don't, the only thing I see is that they took it out of the rules, the practical portion, but there hasn't been
So,
any more changes or revisions to that.
and I know we're coming tight on time, so maybe we can also, table this discussion of this section, but what I would encourage you to consider is, without knowing the history of it, we might want to retain it, to grandfather in folks who that, pertains to, if it's like an old exam version of the exam. Or you might want to consider, we don't want to grandfather them in because they should be up to date with what's going on, the things that are quizzed on the massage exam. But I'll look into the history if I can find any on
Okay.
why that clause was added, and then you can discuss that next time too.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
I don't
awesome.
think
And then
we've ever done
just
that.
because we only meet like once every couple months, I did research NBLEX, and I just to put this on the record for the verbiage, and of course I'll share this, but I really like this violation of exam security, including copying exam questions. I really like that. So that way it kind of even secures that integrity of the exam. Even if after they're done taking the exam, they're copying down those questions and sharing it with their friends. So including copying questions, sharing answers, or engaging in any misconduct that may result in disciplinary action, including disqualification and denial of licensure. I like that verbiage, so I'll share that too.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Thank you guys.
Can I offer one, being that this is my last board meeting
Final
and
words.
Jace,
Yes.
go right ahead.
Good. I was hoping you would offer us some pearls of advice.
well,
Joe.
just as I'm reading this section specifically, from my perspective, the line between the bird's purview over the examination is getting a little blurry with the responsibility of the testing center, proctor, that organization. So I think it's important to, I think Sheena made this comment, see what the testing PSI's policy is so that it's not overly redundant with what's written in the board's rules and regs.
Mhm.
Are you
Because,
referring to item B, Jace?
yeah, like, well, item B, I would think that PSI has
Yeah.
a policy on accommodating disabilities,
Mhm.
as well as some of the verbiage around conduct during the testing. However, I know in this very recent example, there is some obscurity there, but I would just caution about it being overly redundant
Mhm.
if that does exist, because I'm not sure if it's within the board's purview to provide guidance on the examination entity. Maybe it is, but it just reads a little bit blurry, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jace. And that's where very helpfully Jordan would review on the AG's side any of the rules revisions. It has to go through multiple layers of review. So that would be him to see if there's any contradictions or unnecessary overlaps. And then we'd include that for the board's review and FYI. But that's a really good point, and I think it'll be good to clean up this section. Good parting words. Shall we end? I think if nobody else has any further discussion, I know we're coming up on 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for our next meeting, I just want to make sure that, let's see, where are we at? Examination. Sean, you're prepared with the advertising, proposed revisions. And then I think we reassigned subchapter 13 on continuing education with Shannon to take a look at it again
Yes.
from our January 14th meeting. And then I'll cover subchapter 12. I think, did we say we needed to look at subchapter 9?
For me, I have 8 and 9 are not assigned, and then Sean's up next for subchapter 11, advertising.
Correct. Subchapter 8 was repealed.
Mhm.
Subchapter 9, maybe Darcy can take a look at that then?
Sure. What is it pertaining to? Just a headline?
Practice and procedure.
And right now, Darcy, there's just one section in it, administrative practice
Yeah.
and procedure.
All right, I'll take a look at it.
Okay. We can
So-
start with that
Next meeting, we'll do 9 and 10, just to clarify.
9 and 11.
Oh, sorry, 9 and 11, thank you.
Because 10 is oral testimony. I don't think we need to touch that unless
I think
I mean,
we're okay on that. I'll
I
review
think
it
we're okay.
and make sure that it's up to date, but I think it's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Jace, any other final parting pearls of wisdom that you would like to impart on us? And thank you again for your service.
Yes.
I think I've run out of any pearls, much less wisdom. But like I mentioned earlier, it's been an absolute privilege serving with all of you. And I see a lot of new faces in the Queen Liliuokalani conference room. After sitting in on one meeting, the board is very well supported. So thank you all.
Great. Do you have a replacement?
Okay. We can badger him for a replacement offline.
Right? Because he's a public member.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it was for us to find a public member after Jane left, the last public member?
Hmm.
No.
Yeah. Well,
If
we
you have any
appreciate you.
suggestions, you can throw it our way.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. If
Thank you,
there are no
everyone.
other comments, testimony from
No.
attendees,
Mm-mm.
anything out there?
So our next meeting is July 1st.
Uh-huh.
And if nothing further, meeting's adjourned at 11:47. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Thank you all.
Bye.